Good day, everyone. So now we'll start discussing about the Inca Empire. It is also known as Inca or Incan Empire, the largest empire in pre-Columbian America and flourished between 1400s to 1533 Christian era. It is located in Cuzco in modern-day Peru. The Incas has made significant advances in astronomy. They have built sun temples at Machu Picchu and Pisac to observe celestial bodies like the sun, moon, and Venus. These observations were often conducted by the astronomers, mostly the priests, for timing the events involving the rising and setting of the sun, moon, and stars. The Intihuatana stone of Machu Picchu. It means hitching post of the sun. It functioned as a solar clock with its carved angles casting precise shadows to track the movement of the sun. This allowed priests to determine solstice, equinoxes, and key seasonal changes that guided agricultural activities such as planting and harvesting. Beyond its practical use, rituals were performed to symbolically tie the sun during the winter solstice to ensure its return, reinforcing the Inca's devotion to Inti, the sun god. The Inca has two types of constellation. First is the star-based. It is formed by connecting stars into sacred shapes like animals and gods. The Incas believed that Pleiades influenced the health and fertility of animals and crops, and its visibility in the night sky marked as an important seasonal changes, especially the timing of planting and harvesting. The next one is the dark cloud. It is seen in the Milky Way's dark patches. It is believed to be living animals in a celestial river unique to Inca astronomy. Mishek or the shepherd. It is a symbol of connection between human, animal, and nature. Atok or the fox. It passes in December, the time where baby foxes are born. Lamanaknawin and Unalamaka. It was the most important constellation to the Inca. It rises in November, and it reflects on the Incas' deep reverence for llamas, which were vital for their daily life and economy. Mutu or Tinamou. It appears in the sky on October and stays until July. Its disappearance means the end of the potato harvest. Hanap Atu or the toad. If it shows in the skies, it means rain would soon begin, and it also means it's time to plant. Mak Akwai or the serpent. It is said that it oversees all the snakes in the world. It emerges on August and begins to set in February, which means it is the seasonal activity of snakes in Andes.
One of the greatest developments of the Inca civilization in mathematics and science was their lunisolar calendar. The Incas usually used two calendars. The first was the 365-day solar calendar, which was based on the solar cycle. This was very important because it helped them organize economic activities like farming, mining, warfare, and construction. For example, they determined the best planting dates by observing where the sun rose and set in Cusco using towers as markers. The second calendar was a 328-day lunar calendar, which followed the phases of the moon. This was mainly used for religious festivals. It had 12 months with 28 days each. Compared to the solar calendar, it was shorter by 37 days. Let's take a look at the months in the Inca lunar calendar and their important events. In December, they celebrated Kapak Kaini, the great feast of the sun. In January, called Kamay Kila, they practiced penitence, fasting, and also did field reading. In February, or Hatun Pukoy, was known as the month of flowers, with sacrifices of gold and silver and harvesting of potatoes. In March, or Pachapukoy, was the month of rain, marked by animal sacrifices. In April, or Ariwaki, was when maize and potatoes matured. In May, or Hatun Kuski, was the main harvest month. In June, Okekuski, they held Inti Raymi, the famous sun festival, which also coincided with the winter solstice. In July, or Chagwa was for land distribution and preparing for planting. In August, or Yapaki, was the official planting month. In September, Koyaraimi honored the queen or Koya, and rituals to drive away evil spirits and diseases were performed. October, or Humaraimi, was the time to invoke rain. Finally, in November, Ayamarka was when they worshipped and remembered the dead.
Quipu is a record-keeping device fashioned from knotted cords. A quipu usually consists of cotton or camelid fiber cords and contain categorized information based on dimension like colors, order, and number. The Inca in particular used knot ties and decimal positional system to store numbers and other values in quipu cords. A chasqui is a messenger of the Inca Empire. Chasquis are agile, highly trained, and physically fit. They are in charge of carrying messages in the form of quipus, oral information, in small packets. Along the Inca road system, there was a relay station called the Chasquiwasi, placed at about 2.5 kilometers from each other, where the chasquis which is exchanging their messages with the press messenger. A tambo was an Inca structure built for administrative and military purposes. Found along the extensive roads, tambos typically contain supplies, serve as lodging for itinerant state personnel, and were depositories of quickly based accounting records. Individuals from nearby communities with the Inca Empire were conscripted to maintain and serve in the tambos as part of the military labor system.
Now let's move on to the technology and engineering of Inca Empire. The Inca Empire's roadways were part of an extensive network of over 40,000 kilometers of paths, primarily for walking and pack animals. While their suspension bridges were constructed from braided grass ropes and served critical roles in connecting communities for trade and military purposes. These remarkable structures, supported by stone abutments, are a testament to Inca ingenuity and are still maintained through annual community rituals, preserving both their engineering and cultural heritage.
What really stands out is their engineering skill. In mountainous areas, they built stairways and switchbacks. In wetlands, they created causeways. For rivers, they made bridges and curvettes. And even in deserts, they prepared oases and wells for travelers. They were rebuilt every year by nearby towns. Women braided the smaller ropes, men wove them into large cables, and each household contributed rope. Because these bridges were so important for travel, trade, and the military, tampering with them was punished by death. Crossing also required permission or tolls, showing how highly valued these bridges were in the Inca society.
Ang Machu Picchu was a 15th century Inca citadel and estate likely used for religious or royal purposes, situated high in the Andean mountains of Peru. It remained unknown to the outside world for centuries until American explorer Hiram Bingham was led to it in 1911 by a local resident, bringing the lost city of the Incas to international attention. Mita system was an Inca mandatory labor task where able-bodied males provided labor for state projects like roads and farming, receiving food and protection in return. While the Inca communication system relied on a vast road network na tinatawag pong the Kapaknyan, and swift messengers na tinatawag na Chaskis, who relayed messages and records called Kipus across the empire. I am going to discuss the Inca Empire agriculture. Inca terrace farming, known as Andeans, this innovative system increased food production, enabled effective irrigation through sophisticated drainage, prevented soil erosion, and created stable microclimates. The construction of Andean showcased advanced engineering using layers of sand, stone, and fertile soil to manage water and support crops like potatoes, maize, and quinoa. Inca irrigation system and aqueducts were sophisticated stone-lined channels, canals, and terraces that use gravity to transport water from mountain streams to agricultural fields and cities, ensuring a stable water supply for their challenging Andean environment. The Inca Empire primarily cultivated staple crops of potatoes, corn, and quinoa. Through their advanced agricultural practices, including terrace farming and extensive irrigation, their diverse diet also include other important crops such as sweet potatoes, squash, beans, tomatoes, chili peppers, and cotton, along with various other grains and vegetables. The primary tool of farming tool naman po ng Inca Empire was the chakitakla, a foot plow with a wooden or bronze pole used with the foot on a crossbar. Other key tools included the waktana, yun naman po is yung wooden glove for breaking up clods of soil, and wooden or stone hoe na tinatawag po na rokana. Nagpreserve din po ng food ang Inca Empire using natural techniques po. Like, most notably, freezing drying na tinatawag pong chuno for potatoes and charqui for jerky, which involve cycles or freezing and sun drying to remove moisture and extend shelf life for years. They also utilize cold storage buildings called kolkas that use natural ventilation and drainage to keep food cool and dry. Yung kolkas naman po na tinatopic kanina, siya po yung storehouses na ginagamit na pang-store ng foodstuffs and other goods like textiles and salt, built in rows, near population centers and along the extensive Inca road system. These well-ventilated, cool and dry buildings preserve perishable goods, allowing the Inca Empire to survive of periods of famine.
Becoming a doctor took many years. It was usually passed from father to son, since the son studied at Cuzco School of Medicine, learning about herbs and treatments. Only after long practice was someone considered a true doctor. The most skilled surgeons worked with nobles and the Inca army. They were always experimenting with new cures and improving old ones, which is why Inca medicine developed so much. The Inca civilization healthcare system had different types of doctors. First, the Watuk, who diagnosed the disease. Next, the Hanpek, who used herbs and minerals similar to a shaman. The Paco, who focused on the soul since they believed the heart held the spirit. And the Sankoyok, or surgeon priest, who treated broken limbs, abscesses, and teeth. The Inca civilization and the Maya civilization has some similarities with some major key differences that can be noted. First, in terms of skull practices, the Inca were highly skilled in trepanation, or brain surgery, which they perfected with survival rates of 90%. On the other hand, the Maya were more focused on cranial deformation, altering the shape of the skull for aesthetic or social reasons. They did perform trepanation, but it was less common and used different techniques. Second, in terms of anesthesia, the Inca made use of coca leaves and chicha, a type of maize beer, as anesthetics for pain relief during surgeries. The Maya also used herbs, but there is less evidence of a strong, large-scale anesthetic practice like the Incas. Third, in dental practices, the Inca focused mainly on extractions and pain relief. The Maya, however, were known for aesthetic dentistry. They filed teeth into shapes and even inlaid them with precious stones such as jade, turquoise, mostly for rituals or social purposes. Both civilizations had a holistic approach to medicine, which combined physical healing with religion and ritual. Healers often acted as spiritual leaders as well. Both had deep herbal expertise, using a wide variety of plants for painkillers, antiseptics, and treatments for specific diseases. They were also skilled in advanced surgery for their time, such as treating fractures and even suturing wounds with human hair. Finally, both valued sanitation and hygiene. For example, the Maya used sweat baths for cleansing and healing purposes.
Now, let's talk about the fall of the Inca Empire and how the spread of disease, the Civil War, and the Spanish conquest led to its collapse. When the Spaniards arrived in Central America, they unknowingly brought deadly diseases like smallpox, influenza, typhus, diphtheria, measles, and also chickenpox. Now, yung mga disease na to is nag-spread ng mabilis across the continent. That's why it even reached South America. And the Incas did not have the immunity to fight off these foreign diseases. That's why in just 10 years, between 50% and 90% of the Inca population was affected. So since mahina nga yung immunity nila, marami ang mga Inca na naapektuhan and smallpox and influenza ang main cause ng death ng Inca population. Ngayon, since yung working class nila is humina, their agriculture declined. The Chesquis or their Inca runners, messenger runners, couldn't deliver messages across the empire. So yung mga officials in Cuzco, which is the capital of their empire, were left unaware of the northern invasion. Even the nobility were affected by these diseases, and it triggered a crisis in their leadership. In 1527, the Emperor Huayna Capac and his eldest son, the heir, Ninian Coyote, died of smallpox. So by tradition, si Huascar talaga yung next ruler dahil anak siya ng emperor and his legitimate wife, which is the Koya. Pero sa northern administrative capital ng Quito, si Atahualpa, half-brother naman siya ni Huascar, was deemed a more stronger warrior and more fitted sa role. That's why he was crowned by his supporters as the Sapa Inca. Pero si Atahualpa kasi, anak siya ng concubine ng emperor. So, wala siyang legitimacy para mamuno. That's why Huascar started a war that lasted 5 years. Eventually, si Atahualpa yung nanalo. And even though nanalo siya, the empire was still left vulnerable, weak, and divided. In 1532, si Francisco Pizarro ay dumating sa Cajamarca with 110 men and 67 cavalry. Atahualpa thought that it was just a peaceful gathering. Pero, mali pala yung akala niya. So a Spanish priest handed him a Bible, and the priest wanted Atahualpa to swear loyalty to the Pope and the King of Spain. However, si Atahualpa ay nag-refuse, and he even threw the Bible to the ground. That's why he was taken as a prisoner, and in 30 minutes, or less than 30 minutes, his soldiers were killed by the Spaniard men. Ngayon, si Atahualpa ay nag-offer ng ransom of 2 rooms filled with silver and 1 room full of gold. The Spanish accepted it, pero hindi pa rin nila pinakawalan si Atahualpa. And he was executed on August 29, 1533, and was accused of treason. So after the capture of Cajamarca, the Spaniards marched to Cuzco with no resistance at all. Cuzco, the heart of the Inca Empire, or the capital. There, they crowned Manco Inca, which is Atahualpa's brother, as the new ruler, or as they call it, the puppet ruler. At first, Manco cooperated, but in 1536, he tried or led a rebellion to take back Cuzco. However, and unfortunately, he failed. They retreated and escaped to the mountains of Vilcabamba. Manco created a hidden Neo-Inca government, which lasted 36 more years. The Inca Empire lasted from 1400s to 1533 CE. Its capital was Cuzco, located in the modern-day Peru, and at its height, the empire stretched from Ecuador to Chile, following the Pacific coast and the Andes Mountains. Though the empire fell, its legacy still lives on. Its Inca roads, yung kanilang terraces, yung kanilang irrigation system, yung architecture nila, yung kanilang number system, Quechua language, and their advanced knowledge in astronomy and agriculture still influenced the colonial science and, of course, continues to inspire the modern researches. So even though the Incas have lost their empire, they never lost their identity.